Okay, so I picked up this DW Performance Series kit a while back. Got a good deal on it because it had gotten damaged in shipping. And so it's a 22-inch kick, 12-inch rack tom, 16-inch floor tom. Anyway, the drums are great, play great, sound great. Only downside for me is that I went from playing a 6 to 7 piece kit for years down to now basically a 4-piece kit. And so that's been a bit of an adjustment, and honestly, just as far as I'm concerned, just not quite the same. So I wanted to see what I could find to put in this gap that's opened up. You can buy a 10-inch tom from DW to match, but you're looking about $400 or $500 for a single tom, and that for me is just too much. So I started thinking about something kind of unusual to put here, and I got the idea of putting a concert tom. I don't know, it would be different and have its own sound, and it's not going to match the set anyway, so might as well just go big or go home. I started looking around on eBay and looking at some different used toms and trying to find something, and after a while of looking and thinking and brainstorming, eventually I ended up finding this old PDP tom here. Let's see, I think it's the FS series. It's a 10x8. The top head is shot. Sounds like garbage. I tuned it up. It doesn't sound great, but I think a new head will help. And actually, I've got this Remo black dot to go on here once it's ready, because somewhere I read that was the industry standard for concert toms. But anyway, you're probably wondering, well, this is not a concert tom. What are you talking about? Well, if you're thinking that, you're absolutely right. It's not a concert tom, but I intend to make it one. My plan is to cut it off just above wherever the second hole holding the lugs on is. So I'm gonna remove all the hardware and find just the right place, and I'm gonna use my table saw, and I'm just gonna saw off the bottom portion. I wanna leave as much depth as I can, so I don't wanna take off too much. So I intended to cut it just above wherever the higher holes are, the low holes. So probably somewhere about right here. So that's the plan, and let's get to it. All right, now here we are in the workshop. So what my plan is to take the drum, and by using my old trusty sled here, remove all the hardware from the drum, lay it on the sled. There's just the bare shell, and screw a stop block on either side of the shell once I have it right in position where I want to cut it on the table saw. And then I think that ought to hold it in place pretty well, and so then I'll just make a series of passes with the sled over the blade, and while turning the drum with each pass. And I think that should make a pretty even cut on it. I don't think I would try this with anything but a table saw, because I think with any other saw there's just too much room for error. So let's get started. Okay, so hardware is off, and as planned I have screwed down stop block right here, and another over here, holding the shell firmly in place. About ready to make our cut. All right, so we're ready. I put some masking tape on the inside and the outside to help try to minimize any tear out that we might experience. So here we go. Let's say a little prayer. Okay, that went about as well as I could have expected. Came out okay. A little uneven there. I'm gonna hit all this now with the orbital sander. So here we are after sanding. The edges have been softened up a bit. I cleaned up the shell. So not bad. After this, looks like I've been left with about 4 5/8 inches of depth. So a little over half of an 8-inch shell. All right, so here we are, finished product. Initial thoughts are, I think it turned out good. Everything cleaned up good. The chrome looks nice. It was filthy before, and I just cleaned it with a vinegar and water solution, so it's nice and shiny. Everything looks good. From what I've heard so far, it seems to sound pretty good, so let's mount it up on the kit and give it a go. Okay, so final thoughts. It's now been several weeks since I initially cut down the drum, and as you can see, I've had a lot of chance to play on it, and I'll start by saying that I really like it a lot. It's certainly got its own unique sound that is definitely reminiscent of some of the older recordings from like the 70s and 80s, from when these drums or the concert toms were popular. As far as how it feels, I think it's got a little more bounce to it than your more standard two-headed drums. I think you don't have that bottom head to kind of absorb your hit, so there's that. And another thing that I really like about it is how easy it is to mic it from the bottom. I can't really see the mic very well because of the glare, but it's so easy to stick your mic under there and get it pointed exactly as you want it to be pointed at the head, at exactly whatever distance you want it. And the best part of all is you don't have a mic in your way while you're playing like you might hear with your more standard mic configuration. So to me, that's a huge plus because I like recording a lot. So I think that's about it. I will say that because I like it so much, I've since found myself searching for an 8-inch tom, a good deal on an 8-inch tom that I can do the same thing with and add that to the setup. So if I do that, I will eventually post an updated video showing that. But until then, thanks a lot.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button.